Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pravega Civil Service Academy online analysis of issues. So, the prelims results are out. Prelims 2018 results are out. Around 10,500 candidates has been qualified for the mains this time around. Mains starting from 28th of September onwards. So, the DAF, the detailed application form, which has to be filled by the candidate was qualified for the mains, starts from 27th of August. So you have to be very careful while you're filling the detailed application form. For that, you have to, especially with respect to the hobbies, you have to be very clear with your hobbies. Don't say all kind of blah 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 things in hobbies. Even if you put blank, it doesn't matter. But ensure while you're filling the hobbies, ensure you know something about it. Okay, then comes the achievements part. In DAF you can find an achievement part also. So ensure that also that you are well versed with these kind of achievements and all. Be honest on that. And also with respect to the cadre allocation, for example, IAS, IPS, IFS, which are the ones which you prefer. So likewise, so if you have any doubt, of course, if you have any doubt, do let us know in the comment box. We will respond to you immediately. Don't worry. So coming to the topic, I've taken a topic very relevant in the present scenario. It has been in the news for the last 1 year. It has been in the newspaper for the last 1 year, and I've chosen this particular topic because I've not seen any of the coaching institutes talking about this particular topic. The topic I've selected is with respect to the trade protectionism which is happening in the world. You might have heard about trade protectionism, or else you might have heard the concept like trade war or something like that between US and China, US and its allies like Japan, South Korea, European Union, etc. and all. Okay, so I've taken this particular topic. So let us start the topic. As rightly pointed out by French economist Frederick Bastiat, if trade do not cross the borders, soldiers will. Likewise, the same thing is happening in the present situation, in the present day scenario also. Because the trade war has been erupting in the world ever since the Donald Trump administration came to be in the United States of America. So America has imposed trade restrictions, trade tariff on items which has been imported from all parts of the world, including their allies like Japan, European Union, South Korea, etc. They have imposed heavily on China's aluminium and steel products. Even they have imposed some kind of a restriction, some kind of tariffs on Indian steel products as well. So let us now look at the background. After that, I'm just going through some kind of things like the methods or the types of trade protectionism, and I'm going through the implications of trade protectionism, that is the pros and cons of trade protectionism, and I'm just going. Lastly, I'm just talking about the way forward in this particular aspect. Okay, so let us see what is a trade protectionism. Trade protectionism can be defined as a country or even a block of countries putting trade restrictions or trade barriers on the global trade, or even on the global free trade. Okay, on the global free trade, for example, America is creating some kind of a trade barrier in the form of imposing tariffs, in the form of imposing quotas on the products from other parts of the world, say from China. That can be termed as trade protectionism. Okay, that is called a trade protectionism, putting some kind of a trade barrier in the international trade. Okay, now let us see what are the different types of trade protectionism which is happening in the world. Okay, the first and foremost is a tariff. Tariff is a kind of a tax which is imposed on the products, on the goods or services which has been imported from the foreign country. For example, let us take the case of India. If India is exporting 10 kg of steel to America, America is putting tariff on Indian steel. For example, let the tariff be 5 rupees for 1 kilo. Now they are increasing to 10 rupees. So what happens? Automatically the Indian exports to America will come down. That is called tariff in very simple terms. I'm putting my words in a very lucid format, in a very simple format, so that you can understand in a simple way also. Okay. So that is called tariff. Putting some kind of a tax or some kind of a duty on the products which are imported from a different country. That is the Indian example I have quoted. The second one is with respect to quota. What is quota? Quota is nothing but which a country, for example, India, again the steel 10 kg has been exporting to America. America is saying no, we are putting some kind of a quota from your country. You cannot export 10 kg of steel. You can only export 2 kg. That is called quota. 20 before you can make 10 units of export. Now you can only make 2 units of export. That is called quota. The other important one, and that is a crucial one, is with respect to the subsidies. Okay, what subsidies means is that domestic governments will provide direct tax credits or direct money. They will infuse direct money in the form of subsidies to people or even traders or even exporters in the form of subsidy. That is a market distorting. That will heavily distort the market situation. That is the other kind of trade protectionism. The fourth one is with respect to the devaluation of currency. Okay, for example, China is devaluating its currency for yuan, which is a kind of, which may even lead to a currency war. In most of the books, you cannot find the devaluation concept being added into the trade protectionism. But nowadays, devaluation is also considered to be a kind of trade protectionism, which ultimately leads to a currency war-like situation in the world. Okay, and the fifth one is the local content requirement. I will quote an example so that you can understand very well. For example, I think it was way back in 2013-14, where India has made mandatory for local sourcing of products for solar chips, which the United States of America has challenged in the WTO. Okay, so that is also a kind of trade protection. I think you got the point of local content manufacturing. You are producing some kind of a manufacturing unit here. The government is telling, see, you have to purchase some kind of a percentage of your total production from the local manufacturer, not from outside. Okay, that is called local content requirement. Okay, so these are the types of trade protectionism. Now let us see the implications of trade protectionism in the global scenario. First, let us see the pros. The first point is keeping the home at home. That means you can restrict your things in the home itself. For example, if you want to restrict your culture, if you want to restrict your economy, if you want to restrict your trade, if you want to restrict your commerce, or if you want to restrict your connectivity, you can keep all these things at home itself. That means domestically itself you can keep it. You don't want to go for an interaction with the rest of the world. So you can keep all these things inside the home itself. For example, what is happening with North Korea, and to a certain extent Cuba, etc. and all. Okay, that is the first point. The second point, and that is the most important point, is the infant industry argument. I hope you know what is an infant industry. Infant industry may be in the form of sunrise industry. Sunrise industries means those industries which are actually coming up. Okay, that can be termed as infant industry, because those industries will be need to compete with the foreign players which are very much established. So they don't want to expose to these foreign players which are of very expertise in nature on so much of items. Their technological, the managerial capacity, their capital, their fund base, etc. So it is quite difficult for them to compete with these people. That is another point. Okay. Along with that, we can say that the sunset industries. What is the sunset industry? Sunset industry is nothing but the industry which is having some kind of an ailment. For example, let us take the case, for a simple example, let us take the case of Jay Prakash Associate, okay, Sahara Industry, Sahara Company, and they are actually ailing. So if a foreign competition comes, automatically what happens is that, as I've mentioned earlier, they have got so much of expertise on so much of things, so automatically they will eat up these companies. So by protecting, by in the form of trade protectionism, we can actually give more time to restructure these companies and to make them more robust. Okay, coming to the third aspect or the third process, we can actually promote jobs. Domestic jobs may be in stake if no proper protectionist measures is adopted. Okay. For instance, let's take the case of multi-brand retail. In India, the multi-brand retail constitute around 500 to 750 billion dollar economy. So what happens is that if we allow multi-billion dollar, what is multi-brand retail to our country, the foreign multi-brand retail to our country, FDI to our country, what happens? Walmart, Tesco, Carrefour, etc. These people will come and invest in India. That will have a direct impact on the mom and pop stores of the country. And automatically what happens? That will have brunt on the employment aspect also. So these are all the pros as far as trade protectionism is concerned. Now let us see the cons, the negative effects of trade protectionism in the global scenario. The first important point is with respect to the choice to the consumers. The choice to the consumers will be very much limited. For example, they have to compromise on quality, they have to make compromise on quantity, etc. The second important point is with respect to the inflation situation. The comparative advantage theory or the comparative advantage cannot be made possible if there is a restriction on the trade. For example, let us take the case of crude. See, we are actually a net importer of crude. If you are saying we don't want a free trade or even international trade with other countries, what happens? We have to depend the crude oil for ourselves. So hardly around 15 to 20% is produced in India. Balance 80% we have to import from others, especially from the Middle East and from the other countries. So if we don't have any international trade, automatically that will be hit. So that may lead to higher inflation in the economy. Okay. The third important aspect is the infant industry argument. If we don't go for it international exposure, what happens is that these industries will be in the infant stage even after for so long. We have the examples from 1950 to around 1990. That is up to the period of the LPG, the liberalization, privatization and globalization, where our industry was in the redundant format. No new industry is coming, only the existing ones. We don't have an international exposure that is affecting these industries. Okay, that is the third important aspect. The fourth one I'll say is with respect to the currency warlike situation. Because if we impose trade restrictions or even if we impose trade protectionism, the other countries will do the same. They will reciprocate the same thing. That will create a trade war-like situation in the global economy. Okay. So these are all the main aspects which I would like to highlight with respect to the trade protectionism, the negative aspects of trade protectionism in the global sphere. Even nowadays it is being said that the international trade is considered to be an engine of growth. So what happens is that if we don't go for an international trade, our economic growth will be affected. So achievement of economic progress will take longer time also. So considering all these parameters, we have to say that trade protectionism needs to be deliberated in a much more calibrated manner rather than taking decisions emotionally or hastily, like what has taken by the US administration. It's not fair. So that is all about trade protectionism. Now let us look at the implications of India No, just analysis, a small analysis on the trade for protectionism and its effects on India. See, the trade protectionism was actually initiated in the present day scenario. It was initiated by the U.S. administration. For your kind information, the total trade between India and United States of America is around 144 to 150 billion dollars annually. So what happens is the US administration has put trade protectionism or trade restrictions on some or in the form of tariffs on products like steel, etc. From India. That constitutes a marginal one of around 4.5 billion US dollars. Okay, that is a marginal character. And the US administration has put these trade restrictions on the national security aspect. Okay, so bilaterally we can make negotiations with the US administration. We can have a clarity on it, or we can repeal this particular decision of United States with a bilateral dialogue by face to face. That is with respect to India. And coming to the global aspect also, we will see. You have to understand one thing, that if you put trade protectionism in front, or if you are going for a trade war like situation, you have to understand one thing, that the losers are everybody, and the gainers are nobody. Everybody will lose, nobody will gain. So that is an important point as far as trade protectionism is concerned. So I hope the video is very beneficial for you, because I have never heard about such kind of video before from any part of coaching institutes or from any other online tutorials. That's the reason why I've taken effort on this particular video. I hope it will be beneficial for you. Kindly subscribe to our video. Do comment on our videos. Thank you all. Thank you everybody. Bye.